No Standing 8 Boxing Podcast. We discuss every organization and weight class with your host, Bronx Bomber, educated with the craft. Punch a topic hard like heavyweights, hitting the bag from the top rank to the upcoming. Washed up to the dark horse, champs, #1 contenders. Quick jab or sharp cross, we your source. Come get it. Tuning in, you can have it. Internationally known, our information is valid. See, we on a higher plane, no 2 episodes the same. We get better as we train, so on top we remain. Come join the conversation, it's insight you'll gain. And then outside of the ring, we do the damn thing.
All right, fight fans, welcome to another episode of No Standing 8 Boxer Talk. And today is your official Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk fight card recap, reaction. We'll talk about some other stuff here, but mostly we're going to talk about that fight, what transpired, and what we can see moving forward. As always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. For more of my contact, please be sure to visit nostanding8boxing.substack.com. You have full access to all of my articles for No Standing 8 and the podcast, and some plugs for my podcast on Spotify and on Apple Pod. Also, be sure to follow my work on fightsaroundtheworld.com. It's a relatively new boxing platform for news, boxing news, from some great boxing writers across the business. It is owned and founded by boxing writer Abraham Gonzalez. And you can check some of my work out there, some of my colleagues' work out here. But without further ado, this is your official fight recap for Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk. All right. So what a great night of boxing. If you watch the fight and you're a boxing fan as I am still excited and still coming down sort of that boxing high that I experienced watching this fight. It was promised to be a good fight. It was promised to be a banger with 2 of the best boxers in the world fighting for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world, and it delivered on all fronts. It took me back to the years of where there was great boxing in the 90s and the 80s and the 70s, where 2 big heavyweights would get in there and 2 of the best heavyweights and left it all in the ring. And this is what you got this past weekend from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, when Alexander Usyk became the undisputed champion of the world, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. In the last quarter century, we haven't had an undisputed heavyweight champion of the world since Lennox Lewis last held that title back in 1999, so over 25 years. And so this has been in the making for the last 25 years, and boy, did it deliver. I was not disappointed. I was excited. I enjoyed the whole card, and we're going to recap that for you to hear today. For those of you that watched it, we'll relive some of his moments, and for those of you that missed it, then hopefully we'll be able to provide you some clarity and some insight into what happened. So Usyk beat Tyson Fury by split decision to capture the undisputed world heavyweight title of the world. All right, this took place in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and the whole night was just a good boxing night. There were 7 cards before the main event, 7 fights before the main event. 2 of those fights were for a world title, and every fight, with the exception of 1, ended with the knockout. For the last 2, the whole main event and the main event ended with a knockout in some fashion, whether it be a referee stop or an actual knockout. We'll get to those first, but let's talk about the big thing, the main event. Listen, this was an entire show. For just $69.99, you got just about everything. All right. Celebrities were in attendance. Of course, with a fight of this magnitude, it's gonna bring out all your A-listers. It's gonna bring out everybody that loves boxing, and it tends to bring out celebrities. So you had actor Lee Schreiber there, was in the corner of Usyk. Football, soccer great Cristiano Ronaldo was there. All the world champions that have held the lineal title that were undisputed at one time were there. So Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, Vladimir Klitschko. For heavyweights, were there. Roberto Duran was there. I'm sure I'm missing countless other boxers that were there, but I mean, it was a sight to see. Anthony Joshua was there. It was definitely a sight to see all these legendary great fighters in one room. After the conclusion of the seventh fight card, it was time for the world champions to come out and face each other. So Michael Buffer does the ring announcements, and then before we get to that, there was a lot of flash, a lot of pizzazz, a lot of lighting, a lot of stuff to hype up the crowd. I enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed it. I know a lot of people were talking about the fight cards taking too long, but listen, you got to understand, a lot of these cards, a lot of these fights ended with knockouts, so they had to fill the time in some way or somehow. I'm sure most of us would appreciate it. They just would have moved on to the next fight. But hey, they have an agenda, and sometimes we forget that people have to get to the fight and wait for the stadium to get full. And I'm sure that's probably what happens and why we have all that filler time. But nonetheless, the time came, and the fighters made their way to the ring. And Usyk, man, that's one cold brother, man. He came out there in like a military type of warrior, of ancient warrior kind of outfit. He had a green robe on that was like a military type of uniform, and he had what they call it Oshaka on his head, which is that fur hat that, when you think of warriors, of Russian warriors in the past, what they wore is the first thing that came in my head with feathers sticking out of it. Man, this guy looked cold-blooded. He looked like he was ready to just annihilate Tyson Fury. His look, he didn't crack a smile. He was stoic. That guy was all about business. On the opposite end, Tyson Fury comes in there with like the short sleeve robe and sort of like Spartan kind of trunks with that are cut up and comes to the arrow point at the bottom, dressed in green. Also, his was more of like a forest green, while Usyk's getup was more of just a regular kind of royal green. And Tyson Fury was wearing a ball cap to the back. And he was dancing and having himself a good old time, laughing and kind of clowning around like Tyson Fury does. And he had songs that he was dancing to, Barry White's My Everything, and then Bonnie Tyler's I Need a Hero. Now, if you remember that from, I guess, the Shrek movies, is what I remember it mostly. I mean, I know the song in the 80s. I was alive in the 80s to actually hear the whole song, but most people recognize the song that came out in the Shrek movies. Anyway, Tyson Fury was having a good old time before he got in the ring with his family, his brothers in there, and it was just a spectacle. It was a sight to see. The lead up to the fight in the previous days was hyped up the crowd, and then it took like at least 10 minutes for these guys, if not more, to make their way into the ring. All right, but finally, these guys get in the ring, and round one kicks off. And listen, Usyk is the first striker, right? And if you remember from my keys to victory, when I wrote last week in my articles, in my Substack for keys to victory, I said that Usyk had to be constantly moving. All right. I said that would be his greatest weapon against Tyson Fury. Usyk has been known to move, to be mobile. And I said that Tyson Fury can balloon up anywhere to up to 278 pounds. Okay. And that's a lot of weight for Tyson Fury to move around. And I said that he needed to do it like he did with Derek Chisora. He needs to jab and move and be deliberate with his attacks and attack Tyson's soft midsection. And that's exactly what Usyk did in the first few rounds of that fight. If you watch him, he's in there, he's jabbing his way, but he's jabbing to the body. He's jabbing to the body, to Fury's body, should I say. All right. And I also said he must avoid being hit and backed into a corner. Okay, because Fury likes to do that. He likes to put his body weight on top of his opponents and wear him down. But to a lot of our surprise, Tyson Fury came in a lot smaller than what most of us thought he was going to come in, right? Tyson Fury came in at 263 to Usyk's 223. He had a 40-pound advantage. When he looked at these two in the ring, Tyson Fury looked enormous. And I said, oh my God, Usyk is going to have a hard time with him, especially in the middle rounds once Fury starts to get comfortable, right? So sticking and moving over 12 rounds and avoid being cornered were my keys for victory for Usyk, right? And keep Tyson Fury moving around and sort of use his weight against him and wear him out. And Usyk did that for the most part. He did that for the most part. I will explain. So he did that in the first 2 rounds. He was jabbing to the body, countering with the left, and catching Tyson Fury. And Tyson Fury to the self, right? He started joking around, sticking his chin out, taunting and mocking Usyk, right? And my keys to victory for Tyson Fury, so I can remind you from the last episode, what I said, and in my article, I said that weaknesses for Tyson Fury was inconsistency and foolery are his ailments in the ring. When it comes to Fury, we don't know what to expect in a fight. There have been times when he has come to a fight trim and conditioned. There have been other times that he's not in perfect shape. He came trim and conditioned this time around. I thought he was going to be a little, I mean, he was already big enough, but I thought he was going to be a little bit bigger. But Tyson Fury planned to be mobile. He planned for Usyk to be mobile. So he said, hey, I got to drop some of these pounds so I'm able to keep up with Usyk's movement. All right. I also said Fury has a loose guard at times. He tends to lean forward, exposes himself to uppercuts. And my keys to victory for Fury was that he had to be able to cut off the ring and expect Usyk to utilize his footwork. And I said that he's too big to be chasing Usyk around. He needs to corner the fighter, and he almost must fight like the taller fighter. Okay, I'm reading this verbatim. Fury must fight like the taller fighter, use his jab, and not allow Usyk to get inside. When Usyk tries to make a move, Fury must drop the straight right hand and stop his momentum. Fury also must find a way to back Usyk into a corner and lay his weight on him and land off his punches first. He must fight like the taller fighter. Okay, those were my keys to victory. And then in my prediction, if you remember my article, if you read my article, if you listened to my last episode, I said that Fury has never faced a heavyweight with the mobility and skills that Usyk possesses in recent matches, okay? And vice versa. Usyk has never faced a heavyweight as skilled as Fury. Fury can box and is defensively sound, making him difficult to hit in exchanges. Fury has a solid chin and surprisingly got up when Deontay Wilder dropped him in the 12th round of their fights. If you saw this fight, we'll get to that. We'll get to what happened. I said I expect Usyk to move and stick and win the first few rounds. And that's exactly what Usyk did. And then Fury is intelligent and will time Usyk's pesky jab and counter with an overhand right, which he did. We're going to cover that. He eventually will corner the more undersized heavyweight and make him pay in those close exchanges. Fury's team knows that Usyk does not like to get hit to the body, so expect Fury to hit Usyk to the body. That also happened. I cannot disregard Usyk's resiliency and determination. Therefore, expect this fight to go distance and Fury to win a unanimous decision, becoming the new undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Yes, I picked Fury for all the reasons that I just said. The bigger guy. I said that size matters in my last episode, that 40 pounds with a person that knows how to deliver punches is hard for a lot of small fighters to overcome. All right. And in this fight, Usyk was giving up 40 pounds at height and reach to Tyson Fury, who's a very good boxer and knows how to use all these tactics to wear the other fighter out. I also said about Usyk's resiliency and determination not to count that out. And that's the turning point of this fight. That right there. It's difficult to predict a winner when two best in the world get in the ring. All right? But for all the reasons I listed, I expected Usyk to succumb to that weight and be tired, but also did not count out that this guy's just a dog. He's a warrior. And you can't count guys like that out. All right? And it resulted with him. That's the single determining factor in why he is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. I will explain. here in a little bit, and not Tyson Fury for the things that I explained before. So much about fighting is a mindset. So much about fighting is be able to overcome. Fighting sometimes comes down to attrition, to imposing your will on another fighter, to finding your own will to overcome adversity to get that win. And that's what Usyk did over 12 rounds. So let's break down this fight to see how we got there. Keeping in mind everything that I said. And it certainly did surprise me that Usyk won this fight for those intangibles. When you're in a fight and there is what seems to be insurmountable obstacles, you got to find a way to win. And that's what Usyk did. He found a way to win. He chopped Tyson Fury down and just flat out beat him up, playground style, David Goliath style, whatever it took, short of dirty tactics, to beat Tyson Fury. Usyk did that. He overcame fatigue. He overcame getting hit to the body. He overcame the size disadvantage, the weight disadvantage. He did all that. He did it throughout 12 rounds. He didn't buckle when times got tough. On the flip side of that, Fury did not know what to do when the tables were turned. Let's get to it. First round, Alexander Usyk comes out, like I said, attacking that midsection of Tyson Fury, backed Tyson Fury up a few times in the corner and landed some hard overhand rights. He did the same thing in the second round. But towards the second round a little bit, you start to see Tyson Fury start to stick that long, straight right out there. It caught Usyk a few times. Okay? I had Usyk winning the first 2 rounds. All right, for my complete scorecard, visit my Twitter, X, should I say now, at the Bronx Bomber. Follow my feed, you'll see round by round coverage of how I had to. I can't pull it up now, and I certainly can't remember which round I gave to who. All right, but it's all on there. Okay, I would do my best to try to recall it, but I remember giving Usyk the first 2 rounds. I thought he did the better work with going to the body and coming over the top with that overhand and tagging Tyson Fury very hard. Tyson Fury tried to do some clowning around those first 2 rounds and mocking Usyk. It did not turn out good for him. Once Usyk tagged him with that hard overhand left, Tyson Fury said, okay, I'm in a fight and I cannot clown with this guy. All right? That he don't want any more of that. Then Tyson Fury decides to get serious, and then he turns it on. He starts using his height advantage over the next few rounds. He starts tagging Usyk cleanly with that 1-2 combo, that long 1-2 combo. And starts to drop that hammer of a right hand on Usyk, stopping that forward momentum, stopping Usyk from coming in. In rounds 4 and 5. All right? Those are what I call those 2 swing rounds, okay? It could have went to either fighter. They both did good work in there. Usyk didn't completely succumb to Tyson Fury, but he didn't have the same success he had in the first 2 rounds. Tyson Fury was tagging him, keeping him at the end of that long reach of his, and started tagging Usyk to the body hard. And it was affecting Usyk. It was. He was catching him with these long uppercuts to the gut, attacking that midsection. Usyk didn't like it. It slowed him down significantly. You start to see Usyk come out the corner in rounds 5, 6, and 7, breathing with his mouth open, not as fast, not as mobile. I'm sure I gave Tyson Fury 5, 6, and 7. Going into the 7th round, I remember having the score tied, 3 rounds apiece. Going into the 8th round, I remember having Tyson Fury up by 1 round. All right? Remember those 2 swing rounds in there, okay? So I had to fight sort of even going into the 7th round. Going to the 8th round, I think if my memory served me correctly, I had Fury up by 1 round. And then in the 8th round, I don't know what was said to Usyk in his corner. I don't know if it was sheer just will, determination, but this is what champions do. This is what the greats do. They find a way to overcome. They find a way to overcome those obstacles that seem that can't be overcome. A 6'9" giant in front of you with longer arms than you, 40 pounds of weight on you. Just rocked you over the last 4 rounds. Showed you that he could box, hit you to the body, hit you to the stomach, kept that long reach. Tyson Fury was tagging Usyk at will. For at least round 5, 6, or 7. And Usyk did what greats do, what all-time greats do. They find a way to win. Tom Brady, all-time football great, finds a way to win. Michael Jordan in basketball found ways to win. Kobe Bryant found ways to win. Derek Jeter, the New York Yankees, found ways to win. Think of any dynasty. Think of any great athlete in the history of sports. They find ways to win. Or they go out on their shield if they lose. Like that great classic that's sitting right behind me, Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier won. Fight 1. Joe Frazier didn't win, but fight number 1, which is considered probably one of the greatest heavyweight fights in history. Alexander Usyk came out in the 8th round and all out, just an all out, fixed bayonets, charge the enemy. We're either going to make something happen or we're going to die trying. It's what Usyk did essentially in the 8th round. He comes out of that corner like a madman, swinging overhand after overhand after overhand, and one of them just happens to catch the big guy. It rocks him. It sends him flailing to the ropes. Usyk lands several more powerful shots. And at the end of that 8th round, Tyson Fury's body language was unlike any other time I've ever seen him. He was bloodied, battered. His nose may have been broken. He was dazed going back to that corner. That was the turnaround. The turn in the tide. It changed that fight. It changed the momentum. Usyk now, pain was replaced by a newfound confidence. He could hurt the big guy. If you remember the movie Rocky IV, when Rocky lands that one punch that cuts Ivan Drago, he found out that Drago was human, that he could bleed just like he bleeds, that he could get hurt just like he could get hurt. And he went on the attack. And Usyk did not turn around after that. He just kept attacking him. In the 9th round, Fury comes out, obviously bothered by something. A broken nose is what I think happened. And he's pawing at his nose, and he is not all there. He is backpedaling, and Usyk is stalking. Fury's nose is bleeding steadily. And then this is what Usyk does. It's going to put the nails in the coffin. It's going to come up and put the last shot in the wounded prey and take Fury out. And he puts a whooping on Tyson Fury that Tyson Fury never, ever in his professional career has experienced. He's never been hit that much consistently. He's been hit. He's been dropped, of course, but not to this magnitude. He was being beat up from one side of the ring to the other. He was out on his feet for the most part. The ropes were holding him up. Now, there's some controversy in this round where some people are saying that the referee is the single factor as to why Tyson Fury did not get KO'd. That the referee prevented Usyk from knocking Tyson Fury out. If you don't know the rules of boxing, if you get rocked and the only thing that holds you up are the ropes, that's considered a knockdown, and the referee's supposed to start his count. That happened twice in this round. And referee Mark Nelson did not start the count. And then, towards the end of the round, decides he wants to step in and give a count, which gave Usyk time to recover. Fury time to recover. And then 10 seconds later, the round ends, and Fury survives what potentially could have been a knockout loss and a knockout win for Usyk and a knockout loss for Fury. Now, I am not going to sit here and take away from this great event, this historical event, with focusing on the referee. I'm not going to do that. There are times when, yes, referees, officials, it are the focus. It should be the focus because some of the stuff these folks do are egregious. But we're not going to do that on this show today. I know that this was a fight of tremendous magnitude, tremendous things were at stake on the line, the lineal championship, the undisputed championship. Maybe he didn't want the fight to go out like that. If a guy was going to get knocked out, maybe he needed to hit the caps. I am not going to try to get in the head of referee Mark Nelson. I'm not going to do that because it will take away from the glorious event that this was. I personally am glad to see this fight for a fighter be given a chance to recover if he's not on the floor or whatever, because we got to see Tyson Fury's resiliency also. He could have easily came out in the 10th round after being battered and beat up so much in the ninth and got knocked out because he was in a shell of himself in the 10th. He could have been knocked out. But I don't know if Usyk ran out of gas trying to knock him out of the ninth, but he could have easily put Tyson Fury away in the 10th round. He didn't have his legs. Tyson Fury did not have his legs in the 10th round. He was in survival mode from there on in. From there on, he was in survival mode. For whatever reason, Usyk failed to put him out. And I also believe that Usyk didn't have anything in the tank either. Both of these guys left everything of themselves in that ring. Because going into the 8th round, Usyk was the one that was dejected. Usyk was the one that was beat up. And he came out and mustered whatever he had left and launched a last desperation attack. Fixed bayonets, charge at the enemy, do or die. So he spent 2 rounds doing that. So maybe he didn't have anything in the tank to knock out Tyson Fury in rounds 10, 11, and 12. Fury could have easily came out in either of those rounds and got knocked out. All his legs served then were to survive. He couldn't put any power into any of his punches anymore. He'd have had nothing left. He jabbed. He dropped a few straight rights. He jabbed and dropped a few straight rights. Usyk kept attacking and hitting and doing work to the body and going upstairs. And then Usyk from round 8 all the way through round 12, those last 4 rounds, swept them all in my book. So he wins rounds, in my book, 1 and 2. Wins the last 4 rounds definitively Rounds 1 and 2. 1 and 2, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 7. Solid 7 rounds, and then take some swing rounds in there. And there you have it. Usyk won this fight. Took the will of Tyson Fury. Took his heart and just ate it. And Tyson Fury, to his credit, could have came and laid down in the last 3 rounds, but he didn't. He jabbed. He tried to stay away. In his head, he probably did enough to just stay away. He didn't feel like he needed to go out and just fight. He says, look, I'm going to survive this, and I feel like I did enough in the earlier rounds to win the fight. And that's plausible. If he was thinking that way, I could see how he could see that. Again, I'm not trying to get to any of these fighters' heads. I'm just trying to paint a picture of body language and what was happening. The judges scored the fight 115-112 for Usyk, 114-113 for Fury, and 114-113 for Usyk. And that caused another uproar. I'm not even going to talk about that one judge that had it for Fury. It's going to take away from this fight and how great this fight was and how we haven't seen a fight like that from 2 superstar heavyweights in ages, it seems. Think back, was the last heavyweight fight where the 2 best fighters in the world fought like this, left everything in the ring. Riddick and Holyfield, maybe? Lennox and Holyfield? That going into the both fighters needed to reach deep inside themselves to win. Usyk had to bring that dog out of him, that warrior, to do what he did in round 8, 9, and then sweep the last 3 rounds. And then Tyson just had enough energy and enough mental power just to survive. And to think to himself, I hope I did enough in the first half of the fight to win this. And these are the fights for everything that boxing isn't, for all its alleged corruption and the way fighters are nowadays, with not wanting to fight the best and so-called ducking. And then sometimes the best fighters in the world get in there and it's a snooze fest, or we don't get what the fans want, or when the fighters get in there, they're way past their primes. That's not what we got here. We had 2 of the best heavyweights, the 2 best heavyweights in the world. And for one night, for one Arabian night in Saudi Arabia, gave the world, reminded us old boxer fans why we love boxing, reminded the world what boxing can be, is, once was, and introduced boxing, hopefully, to another set of fans that have fallen in love with this sport and will keep this sport going for generations to come. That's what these 2 did in the ring. That's what the Bronx Bomber, chooses to focus on, and not any of the other shenanigans that any other host, not to take anything away from them. If that's what they want to focus on, fine. But that's not what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to focus on the 2 warriors that left it all in the ring. When Usyk was out, it seemed like Tyson Fury was going to run away with the next rounds and keep, because Tyson Fury didn't change anything. It wasn't broken. He was winning with the 1-2 combo attacking Usyk's body. It was affecting Usyk. When you just thought that Tyson Fury was going to run away with this fight, here comes Usyk. It shows us, reminds us why we love boxing so much. Because it's the ultimate description, embodiment, definition, whatever you want to call it, of human will, of what most of us as human in this world face on a daily basis, the struggles. That's what boxing reminds me of. That constant fight, that one-on-one, the ultimate one-on-one man sport. punching life in the face, overcoming obstacles when you don't have no more to give. Whatever analogy you want to use, for whatever reason you love boxing, that's what Fury Usyk for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world did. If you golf like I do, and I'm not a very good golfer, there's a saying that says that one shot, that one good shot, no matter if you would have had 1,000 bad shots prior to that one good shot, when you're about to give up golf, and you're about to say, screw it with this sport, it's too hard, it's too frustrating, no matter how much I practice. The sport always seems to get the better of me. And then all of a sudden, you're at the tee box, you hit the drive of your life. 320-yard shot down the fairway, in the middle of the fairway. And then you mess up the approach shot. But that one shot will bring you back to that golf course, I promise you. When you sink that birdie from 20 feet out, that one shot brings you back to the golf course. In your par 3, when you hit the green, 5 feet from the hole, that one shot. Doesn't matter what you did at hole 9, 10, 11. If on hole 18, get a birdie or hit that one miraculous shot, I guarantee you're going to come back to that golf course. And for all the fights that boxing did not give us, and for all the moments that it fudged, Fury and Usyk for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on May 18th, 2024 will bring us back to boxing over and over and over again. What a great fight, folks. What a great night of boxing. The undercards were good. I mean, I don't even want to talk about them. That's how good this main event was. But it's boxing. Let's talk about it. In the co-main event, cruiserweights Jai Opetaia regains the IBF Cruiserweight Championship of the world, the vacant IBF Cruiserweight Championship of the world. Well, how can he regain it if he was vacant? It's a long story. He had the IBF Championship of the world, and then a few years ago, he gave it up to pursue other aspects. The IBF has some of the strictest rules in their sanctioning the body about who you're supposed to fight, who are your mandatories and whatnot. Anyways, a long story. He vacated the belt. He comes back and fights it against his own nemesis, Maris Brightus. All right. And these two have fought before. There was a bloody. Listen, in boxing, you always have that. Every opponent has that one guy that they just have a hard time with in the ring or just can't beat, right? For Shane Mosley, that guy was Vernon Forrest. And for Oscar De La Hoya, that guy was Shane Mosley, right? It's just, man, every time you get in the ring with these guys, you're either going to lose or get yourself in a tough fight. All right? So for Jai Opetaia, he should never fight Maris Brightus ever again. Because the two fights that these guys have fought, including the one this past Saturday, were just brutal. And it had any of the drama, and it had any of the thrills that the main event had on any of his previous fights, but it was a tough, hard fight, which there's a picture of both fighters going to the hospital. Anyway, Jai Opetaia wins a unanimous decision over his Latvian nemesis to capture the IBF Cruiserweight World title. Joe Cordina lost his IBF Super Featherweight World title to Anthony Kakachi from from Belfast. Anthony Kakachi, 35 from Belfast, stunned the world when he upset Joe Cordina, 32 from Wales, United Kingdom, for the IBF Super Featherweight Championship. All right, this fight lasted as long as it could last, for 8 rounds. Kakachi put a whooping on Cordina over 8 rounds. Cordina was game, tried to launch, but the punishment he took in the 3rd round could not overcome. Boy, he was game, though. He tried, and the referee had no choice but to step in and stop this fight, crowning Kakachi as the new IBF World Champion. Another fight that started a little bit of controversy because the referee was late to break fighters up. He yelled break. Cordina stops. Kakachi hits him with a left hook that rocked the stunned Cordina, and it just changed the outcome for the fight. So whether that was the referee's fault or not, that's irrelevant right now. That's irrelevant. Anthony Kakachi is the IBF Super Featherweight Champion of the world, and that's that, folks. Below that, in a heavyweight fight, Frank Sanchez, number 2 heavyweight by the WBC, faced Ajit Kabayel from Germany, and Kabayel put a whooping on the highly ranked Cuban contender. I mean, he knocked him out, and this was a title eliminator, and now Ajit Kabayel, in knocking out Frank Sanchez, positioned himself to fight for a world title next. He put a whooping on him, and Kabayel has won his last 4 fights by knockout. He has put the rest of the heavyweight division on notice. That was that fight. The fight before that, another heavyweight, Moses Atuama from the United Kingdom versus Ilja Mazanishev. I'll be butchering these names, folks. Forgive me. From Germany, he knocked Atuama, knocked out Mazanishev in 52 seconds into round 2. All right. Speed, power. Moses Atuama, I think, is 19 years old. From the United Kingdom. Watch out for him. Watch out. Here we go already with the doggone Mike Tyson comparisons. Stop. It's too early for that. He is fast. He is powerful. But we're not going to go there yet, okay? But he is somebody, Moses Atuama from the UK, 19 years old, 9-0, 7 KOs. He is somebody to watch out for. Then the UK's Mark Chamberlain, 25, is southpaw from Portsmouth, England, knocked out Joshua Wahab, 26, from Accra, Ghana. Prior to that, Joshua Wahab had not been knocked down, let alone knocked out. And that was a first-round knockout for the young Mark Chamberlain, who improves to 16-0 with 12 KOs. In the second fight, geez, what we were doing here, former world light heavyweight champion of the world from Russia, Sergey Kovalev, a legend in his own right, 41 years old, comes back to fight. After 2 years, comes back to fight Robin Sirwan Safar, 17-0 with 12 KOs. And I think we've seen the last of Sergey Kovalev. He was slow. It seemed after he knocked off the ring rust in the first 4 rounds that he was starting to come off, but he was still getting hit with too many shots. Finally, in the last round, Safar viciously knocks down Sergey Kovalev. It looked ugly. It was just an ugly knockdown. When Sergey Kovalev gets knocked down, it's always ugly for some reason. But anyway, it just looked bad. And he got up and lost a unanimous decision to a guy that he would have mopped the floor with in his prime. So I don't know what Sergey Kovalev is doing. I mean, it's sad when fighters just can't seem to hang it up, but I get it. That's all they know how to do. You're all of a sudden not going to be pursuing a career as a biology professor if all you've done was fight your whole life, right? So there's all thing he knows how to do. I don't know anything about his finances. I don't know if he's fighting for the money. I don't know if he's fighting for just the sheer excitement of it. Whatever the case is, he's washed. He's done. And I would like for him to see him retire. Now that is a big possibility after watching that this Saturday. And the first fight of the night, David Nakia, 9-0, 8 KOs from Hamilton, New Zealand, knocked out Michael Sykes, 21-0 with 10 KOs from Frankfurt, Germany, for the IBF International Cruiserweight Championship. And this was Nakia's 8th knockout win in 9 fights. And that's it for a great weekend of boxing. Thank you for joining me. What a great match. Choose to focus on the match. Don't worry about the shenanigans. Don't worry about the side drama. If that's what people want to bring up, then fine, so be it. For $69.99, you got 8 great fights, 6 of them ending in knockout, a brutal cruiserweight co-main event, and an epic heavyweight undisputed match for the championship of the world, the heavyweight championship of the world, the lineal title of the world. Ukraine's Alexander Usyk leaves as a 2-division undisputed champion. He was the undisputed champion in cruiserweight. He swept through that division. He's the undisputed champion in the heavyweight division. He swept that division. What's next for these 2 fighters? I know there's a rematch clause, and Tyson Fury insists that he won this fight, I can understand why he feels that way. He's Tyson Fury, number one. And number two, in his mind, he was winning that fight until those last few rounds. Anyway, I'm not going to focus on that. Great night of boxing for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. Alexander Usyk is a two-division undisputed champion, a bona fide superstar in the sport of boxing. Ring Magazine today has him as the number one for pound fighter in the world. Above Terrence Crawford and Inoue. And rightfully so, in my opinion. That's a whole nother conversation for another episode. He is my number one pound for pound fighter in the world. I'll get into that later on this week. The next episode as to why. But for today, thank you for joining me. Thank you for lending me your ears. Thank you for tuning in to the No Standard 8 Boxing Talk podcast. Comment, let me know what you thought of the fight. Visit nostanding8.substack.com for this podcast, for my stories. Visit fightsaroundtheworld.com. On to the next episode. Fight fans, thank you. Love y'all. Like, follow, subscribe, share. It doesn't cost you anything to share this podcast. Just a little effort with the finger. And I'll appreciate it. Until next time, Bronx Bomber out.
No Standing 8 Boxing Podcast. We discuss every organization and weight class with your host, Bronx Bomber, educated with